Hello, welcome to the channel, ladies and gentlemen. Now, this bizarre tribalistic mentality is nothing new. It's kind of been happening more and more recently. But I think what is so surprising is the use of language. Really terrifying use of language, actually, by some of these people. Wrong-headed views. Wow. Wrong-headed, hey? That's some 1984 wrong think right there, isn't it? That is scary language to be using to describe people who don't share your views. Okay. Alright then. Crazy. Now obviously I'm talking about Gina Carano. Specifically, I guess, in this case. But obviously this applies to a lot of people, because this has happened to a lot of people recently. And this is to do with her just being lambasted consistently by many, many media outlets. It seems like it's, you know, a good thing to do nowadays, apparently. You know, hate on a strong, independent woman. Because that's so inclusive and progressive. Apparently so. So anyway, I thought we would take a look at this. Because a media outlet called Popdust. Never heard of you? I'm sure you've probably never heard of me. But based on this article, you're garbage. This article itself is linked down below. This isn't the article in question. But they do a good way of kind of summarising it. And we will go over to them as well, potentially, and have a look. But basically, on December 23rd, so yesterday, Popdust staff writer Keith Baldwin published an article asking, can Disney fire Gina Carano from the Mandalorian for being depressively normal? Basically, by then saying Gina Carano's political views are upsetting and ignorant, but they are not unusual. Right. Okay. Fascinating, isn't it? Where were these calls when people were saying, you know, you must, I don't know, hate Trump or all that, you know, stuff? Why is it always one-sided? Why? I don't understand. Now, my talking point on all of this, and I've said it in many, many videos, in fact I did it recently with a video with respect to Kurt Russell, is no one should really be, you know, actors who get involved in politics. You're in the wrong game, you know. No one watches you because of your activism. They watch you because you're a good or a crap funny actor. You know, actors getting involved in politics is a recipe for disaster, and I don't think anyone should be doing it on either side of the fence. But I do think it's an interesting one in Gina Carano's case, because she actually hasn't really touched on anything political. She hasn't announced that she's voted for any particular party. She's never made her political leanings apparent, as far as I can see. She has been fairly centrist in her view by saying, hey, look, I believe businesses should reopen if they can do their best they can and be, you know, COVID safe. And, you know, I don't think people should force me into doing this, that, and the other. Fairly centrist, actually. So it is interesting, isn't it? It's fascinating. So in the opening to his piece, Baldwin would disingenuously summarise the recent controversies involving Carano's social media presence, such as her refusal to bow to a mob demanding she add pronouns to her bio. Because apparently, ladies and gents, if you don't add pronouns to your bio, you are anti-trans. And if you do, well, and if you don't, and then you get bullied, and then people just say, add something like beep, bop, boop, which was in her bio for a while. Apparently that is hatred. That's violence, apparently. Because words are violence nowadays. Alright. Pags. Absolute participation, award, generation. Pags. They want everything whilst doing nothing. So she refused to do that. And then she would then say, look, businesses need to reopen while taking whatever COVID-19 precautions that they wished. And her creation of a Parler account as this is what Keith Baldwin summarised it as, moments of apparent ignorance, which were apparently meant to anger or alienate left-leaning fans. Oh, so it's a problem when it's against... Bearing in mind, they're not even meant to alienate left-leaning fans. But that's a problem. But when people say, you know, F Trump and stuff like this, that's fine. Do you not hear how hypocritical this is? Really? Again, I'm not saying either one is good. I'm just saying you should probably stay out of politics, as I've said many, many times. It should be noted that while Carano's publicly professed beliefs are shared more widely by those on the American right than on the left, she has never outright confirmed her adherence to any particular political party or ideology. That's right. She's never said, I support this person or I support that person. And then he continues, and he says, Gina Carano has revealed herself to harbour some wrong-headed... That's some 1984 level language right there. That's scary, Orwellian. But there are views, dangerously ignorant views, but they are views that are common enough to be completely ordinary in 2020. Right. In large swathes of the country, they are undoubtedly much more common than the alternative. Right. Baldwin would then turn his attentions to President Trump, criticising both events that factually occurred, such as his banning of transgender individuals from enlisting in the military, and those that did not, notably his insisting that there were very fine people on both sides at the infamous 2017 Charlottesville Unite the Right rally, both before asserting that after 4 years with a president who has normalised and amplified conspiratorial and divisive views, it's easy to say that Gina Carano's behaviour on Twitter has been offensive and disturbing. Not quite sure, right? I don't see the comparison between Trump and Gina Carano. But the moment anyone mentions Trump, everyone goes mental anyway. So just for it being included in this video, people are going to go mental. But I don't see the connection between Gina Carano and Trump, but all right. Now Keith Baldwin then says, but what we can't claim is that any of it is particularly surprising. Right. Kind of sounds like you're being quite misogynistic towards Gina Carano here. I'm just going to throw it out there. So then Baldwin would proceed to generalise various political opinions, such as those which believe that concerns over pronoun use are silly, that Black Lives Matter protests are dangerous, that mask mandates are unnecessary, and that fraudulent votes flipped the 2020 election to Joe Biden. These are apparently being held by a singular political straw man, asserting that if tomorrow every American company fired every employee who believes these things, the unemployment rate would shoot up by about 30% overnight. I think it would shoot up by a lot more than that, in fairness. A concern over pronoun use being silly or whatever, I believe if you're a decent human being, I'm probably going to respect your your wishes. But you do have to earn that respect by being a decent human being. You don't get it from the off. You get basic human decency between basic humans. But any more than that, no. You do have to earn that, in my view. The BLM protests have undoubtedly been dangerous. That's it is a fact. They have resulted in people's deaths, right? It's not something you can argue. And then the last 2 points, mask mandates being unnecessary and fraudulent votes being flipped by 2020 election. This is just, this is like how many SEO things can I get into an article, basically. It's just, what are you doing? How's this linked to Gina Carano? So anyway, this article would continue and says, we can acknowledge that these views are wrong and dangerous. What views? But on some level, we have to confront the fact that 74 million Americans voted to re-elect a president who endorses the same awful views. What has that got to do with Gina Carano? Really? How bizarre. You're doing your damnedest to try and link the two, and it doesn't really work. Anyway, so I really don't understand. Now, it continues and says, this political and social generalisation continues into the conclusion of Baldwin's piece, as its final paragraphs basically say that Carano and his strawman version of an American conservative, claiming that Carano uses her platform to spread ignorant and dangerous views. Alright. And ironically mocking any backlash against her firing as a result of her views as conservative voices who are always eager to play the victim and accuse the left of intolerance for not accepting a diversity of thought so broad that it would include lies and hate speech. Nothing she said nothing about that was hate speech that she has ever said. Nothing she's ever said was lies either. She takes a very centrist approach to her tweets. I follow her. Her tweets are very, very centrist. Carano, look, a lot of people say it's right wing now to say, hey, you should probably have a choice between a vaccine or not. Apparently that's right wing. Apparently you want vaccines to be mandatory. That's scary. That's terrifying. Now, that statement there, just to say you should have a choice, people are labelling that as anti-vaxxing. That's just terrifying. Do you hear yourselves? Seriously. It's scary stuff, man. Now, Carano has already showed a tendency toward this type of thinking, a stubbornly refusing to support good causes if random people on Twitter are rude about them. It's likely that Disney firing her would launch her to a new level of celebrity as a conservative pundit and victim of cancel culture. This may serve to push her and others like her even further into right-wing misinformation, intolerance, and conspiracism. Good God, do you hear yourself? But what choice is there when the alternative is to continue adding to her profile and her ability to spread destructive messages? Just because her views are normal doesn't make them okay. Oh, you got some bad views there. Cancel. Remind me, who's the fascist? Anyway, I thought you'd like this video. Not that it's particularly good subject matter, just that it's incredibly baffling. In this day and age, if anything remotely right of this far left approach is right-leaning, the majority are right-leaning. This is garbage. This is nonsense. Terrifyingly nonsense. Now, I'd love to hear your thoughts. I don't think Gina Carano deserves any of this. And you can really tell that this chap, Keith Baldwin, really has a problem. Really has a problem when you're comparing, you're talking about Gina Carano and Donald Trump and sort of pushing that narrative in one video, one sort of article about her, a few tweets on Twitter. You're an idiot. You're an idiot. Anyway, I'd love to hear your thoughts, so please do let me know down below in the comment section. If you're new here, do hit subscribe. Thank you so much for watching. Take care.